something inspirational for future students. But when I contacted the students, I also asked them to reflect back on their time as students under Professor Nyokong's supervision. And what I got back was quite overwhelming. People had a lot to say. Her former students really did. And with all of this information, I remember going to Jane Roberts and mentioning it to her. Jane Roberts was the director of our research office. And she said, well, why don't you turn it into a book? And I thought, oh, I don't have time for a book. But soon enough, we had a book. And thank you to Jane, to several people, Sally Dorr, who's a gifted designer, and with editorial support from Jane Roberts, Dr. Ron Fogel, and former students, including Dr. Sam Kene, Megan Coates, Wadzi Chidawanyika, and Barbara Lack. And then, of course, the one and only Gail Kurbis, who is probably hiding somewhere. And so the book was born. And, you know, while I was editing and compiling this book, what was interesting is that it was so collaborative, working with the, working with former students on this. So this is, in a way, our first publication. And when I put this book to Prof. Nyokong, she suggested that I get an ISBN number and actually make it an output. As many of our students will know, publications are important. So when we have a look at the book, and I really hope that you'll take the opportunity to get it today, what emerged was not just a tribute from her former students, but it also tells the story of excellence in science, in research, and postgraduate supervision. And I think that there are messages in here for everyone in higher education, those thinking about a career in science or postgraduate studies at Rhodes University, at the most outstanding institution, or those who want to know more about the powerful legacy of Professor Nyokong and the impact that she has had and continues to have on so many lives. And it's fitting then to have this book launch where Professor Nyokong can reflect on her career, and it is even more fitting to have former VC, Professor Saleem Badat, here to discuss this with her. So thank you very much. I'd now like to hand over to our DVC, Dr. Kwezi Mzilikazi, who will introduce Professor Badat. Thank you.
I used to call him at midnight when I'm angry with the finance division. And he used to come to my house.
Finance division has been making people unhappy for a long time. I was hoping this one would work, but it looks like it's not. So, is it working?
Hello, testing.
All right. Colleagues, students, I think there's some people who are supposed to be online, but I'm not sure. So to those that are online, a very warm welcome, and a very warm welcome to everybody in attendance here this evening. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Professor Saleem Badat, a name that is already quite well known here at Rhodes University. In 2006, Professor Badat became the first black person to become a vice chancellor at Rhodes University, and this was a first in 102 years. His vice chancellorship was marked with a commitment to advance social equity, academic quality, institutional cultural transformation, and a contribution to development needs. So we'd like to welcome you back to Akanda and to Rhodes University, Professor Badat. Professor Badat is currently a research professor in the Department of History at the University of the Free State. He holds qualifications from the University of KwaZulu-Natal and Boston University, as well as a PhD in sociology from the University of York. After years of student and political activism, he began his own career in 1989 at the University of the Western Cape, enticed by the idea of it being the intellectual home of the left. Here he succeeded his mentor, Harold Warp, to become the director of the UWC Education Policy Unit. In 1999, Professor Badat was appointed as the first chief executive of the Council on Higher Education, which advises the Minister of Higher Education and Training on higher education policy issues and is responsible for quality assurance. He worked closely with ministers Professor Kada Asmal and Dr. Naledi Pandor. After a stint as the VC at Rhodes University, he left in 2014 to become the first program director of international higher education and strategic projects at the Andrew Mellon Foundation in New York. Here, he made grants to the tune of R1 billion into the arts and humanities at African and Middle East universities and institutions. He is the recipient of doctorates from the University of the Free State for outstanding achievements in the shaping of policies and practices of the higher education environment from the University of York and from Rhodes University. His other awards include the 2024 ASAF Science for Society Gold Medal, the 2023 Human Sciences Research Council, University South Africa Prize for Social Justice Scholarship, and the Inyathelo Exceptional Philanthropy Award for Leadership in Personal South African Philanthropy. Professor Badat is the author of Black Student Politics, Higher Education and Apartheid, published in 2000, Black Men, You Are On Your Own, published in 2010, The Forgotten People, Political Banishment Under Apartheid in 2012, and Tennis, Apartheid and Social Justice, published in 2023. He is also a co-author of National Policy and Regional Response in South African Higher Education and co-editor of Apartheid Education and Popular Struggles in South Africa. Last year, he produced 7 book chapters and 2 edited collections. The first, Research and Activism, Ruth First and Activist Research, which was co-edited with Vasu Reddy, and the University of Durban, Westville, 1961 to 2003, Undoing Apartheid, Building a Non-Racial Culture with Ghulam Vahid. Next month, Roads to Rhodes University and Beyond, Adventures in Knowledge and Activism will be published by UKZN Press. Part memoir, part critical reflections on his tenure at Rhodes, part critical essays on universities, leadership and transformation. It will be launched here at Rhodes on the 5th of May, 2026. Professor Badat's 60 book chapters, journal articles, policy reports, and over 50 newspaper opinion pieces continue to focus on questions of equity, redress, and social justice in and through universities and the decolonization and transformation of universities. He's also a former chairperson of University South Africa and of the Association of African Universities Scientific Committee on Higher Education. With his decades of leadership in higher education and as a former Vice-Chancellor, we were delighted when he accepted the invitation to lead the discussion with Rhodes University's own distinguished Professor Tebello Nyokong. Please join me in welcoming Professor Saleem Badat. And so I hand over to you for some introductory remarks.
Molweni, Sanibonani, good evening. It's really my great pleasure to be with you this evening, to be in conversation with Professor Tebello Nyokong on science, research, postgraduate supervision, and a few other things. And when Professor Limson contacted me to pitch the idea, I needed no persuasion. Because truly, Professor Nyokong is one of my heroes. A person who personifies for me the passionate, committed scholar, committed to science, committed to scholarship and advancing knowledge, to teaching and diffusing knowledge, and to producing new generations of scientists, scholars, and professionals. The cover photo of this book, Dear Professor Nyokong, I think represents beautifully and powerfully the visible joy, the love and care of a professor who is happiest in a laboratory and among her students. At the same time, the photo also celebrates for me one who has sustained over a long period scholarship, knowledge production, and who has been an outstanding scientist, a scholar, a researcher, supervisor, mentor, and an inspiring role model. Thank you, Professor Limson, and those associated with Professor Nyokong over the decades for producing this wonderful tribute on the launch of the Tebello Nyokong Institute for Nanotechnology Innovation. I entered university at the age of 17, 50 years ago. In a sense, I've never left the university during these 50 years and been associated with it in some or other way. I'm hard-pressed to recall the creation of a major center or institute or unit that is named after its contemporary head. It is an extraordinary achievement to have an institute named after a contemporary head. Usually, we name things after people have left this earth. And I think it's absolutely appropriate for it to be named after Prof. Nyokong, because she's an extraordinary scholar and person. Prof has been acclaimed by institutions globally through awards, prizes, honorary doctorates, appointments, and the like. She has, without fuss, quietly but determinedly gone about her business in the process of birthing not just a program, not just a project or a unit, but an entire institute, which is the pinnacle of any academic's research endeavors. The figures speak for themselves. 1,310 publications across 33 countries. 42 postdoctoral fellows, 72 PhD graduates, and 68 master's graduates from all the continents. And I met some of the current masters and PhDs, and we're still counting. I don't think this is the end. The magnet that drew all these students to Little Makanda and to small Rhodes University to work in the area of pathology, medicinal chemistry, and nanotechnology was indisputably Professor Nyokong. Prof has opened paths and paved the way for her students to go on and make their own histories, confident in the knowledge, expertise, and experiences that their professor has cultivated amongst them. You have one of them here, a Sachi chair, but they occupy positions all over the world. I still remember with awe at a graduation ceremony some years ago when it was said that a young Nigerian woman graduate of Prof already had 11 international publications behind her name. That's phenomenal. Colleagues, as we celebrate Prof's extraordinary academic life this evening, it could be imagined that this is a narrative of easy, smooth, uninterrupted achievements and success paved by unstinting support and open checkbooks. That would be a rather sanitized and dubious narrative. Achievements and success do not come easily, especially in societal and universities contexts that are scarred by colonialism, by racism and patriarchy. And especially for those who are first generation students and academics, like Prof, like me, many others, who are black, who are women, who are rural, and whose mother tongue is not English. For some, perhaps many of us, the universities are not a natural or always inviting home. Generous souls encourage us to read for a PhD and to become academics. Adequate funding, supportive mentors, and institutional cultures were ongoing struggles for many of us. Sometimes we felt like interlopers, and sometimes that gaze, that all too familiar gaze that looked at you and made you feel like an interloper and made you feel like an imposter, especially at historically white universities. Prof, I can bear testimony, has had her share of hurdles. Parochial minds, undermining of dignity, disdain of important cultural norms, unkind conduct, and lack at times of material support. It takes, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, students, great courage, fortitude, determination, grit, and resilience to keep your eyes on the ball, on the goal, and to achieve and succeed when people around you do not play nice always and bend rules in their favor. Fortunately, on the other side, there's been keen recognition of Prof's genius, if I may put it that way, her scholarly prowess, and most of all, her hard labor. And there has been the support, fortunately, to enable her to make the enormous contributions to science, to knowledge, and graduate development that she has made over the past 35 years. That's the end of the monologue. Now let's get on to the conversation. So let me start, Prof. You have been associated with universities as a doctoral student, as an academic for over 40 years. What are the big changes that you have seen during this period? Have they been for the better or for the worse or both? What would you wish you could see today?
Sometimes I'm not going to answer your questions. I will tell you what I would like to see. One thing I believe strongly in is that we should stop thinking life is better somewhere else. We should stop adoring the West, yet we can do it. So most of my students, when I could, they spent 3-6 months in universities around the world so they can get it out of their heads that they are less than anybody else. You are not. You are the best ever that can be. And that is something that I believe in. And also, another thing I strongly believe in. She was the first. Those who buy the book will see it's red pen because they hate my red pen during the thesis reading. I believe in is that you must hold your head up. You go to the best conferences. The people you read about in the books, go and look at them and say, I am good. Because you are. I took students, that was the proud moment. Where were we? In Spain. No, the first one I went to was Germany. I think they thought we were refugees. We were so many. Before I start, what is this streaming? Where do I see the other students who are not here? How does this work? Where should I look? It doesn't matter. Tell me streaming, look at them. I went to Germany, but the most important one was Spain. I took about 10 students to Spain. And during the presentation, they allowed them to present orally. Present orally, don't be afraid of anybody. During the presentation, there was a technical failure. I think one of the students had a problem. They kept going, they kept talking. You know, some professors say, your students are scaring us. Yeah, scare them. So the thing is, we're scaring the world. That is the change.
Just to reinforce that, I agree with Prof. Those of you who are graduating from our universities, and especially from a university like Rhodes University, don't have to be afraid of anyone. You can walk the corridors of MIT, Harvard, Oxford, and hold your heads high. Because often, you are better students than they are. So, Prof, you've had a long career in science. Prof, you've had a long career in science. What have you seen as the greatest developments in science, and what are the big issues in science today for you?
You sit here, sit here. I don't remember your question.
So, after 40 years, during the 40 years, what have you seen as some of the greatest developments in science, and in your area especially?
I was going to talk about when I was in, where is that? Where is Belfast? Where is, yeah, somewhere in Europe. It was, no, it was not North Ireland. It was somewhere else. It was in, I'm name dropping here. Ban Ki-moon asked me to address ministers of science and technology there. And every speaker came up, put South Africa, kept on saying, this country, we don't know where it came from. But the science being done in this country is ahead of what we imagined. So we are moving forward. We like to complain a lot. I will not complain. I will say, we are doing well. I have a few words I want to say to NRF, but let's not go there.
Say them, Prof, say them.
I don't want to say them now. I'll go to jail. I'm too pretty to go to jail. Yeah, I don't even remember your question because I'm Dirmakar.
So what makes you passionate still about science, Prof?
Not just science, chemistry. What I would like to say, the DVC and the VC here, and you, oh, Jane, I miss you, is that universities and PhD students, their job is to create new knowledge. No PhD should walk across that stage if they have not proved that they've created new knowledge. This is why we are pushing you in the INI. Professor Machas, who is the director, is pushing you. You must create knowledge. Universities must create knowledge. This business of saying, no, that discipline publishes better. Knowledge doesn't just come from publications. It comes from, I don't know, what do people in arts do? creative something. Patents, publications. No one who is a PhD, for me, even those who are MSc, should walk across that stage if they have not created new knowledge. Why are you at a university? What are universities for? I'm sorry, I don't remember your question again.
Okay, so let's go on to something else, Prof. So, we by and large accept, and sometimes we have to remind people, that alongside the dissemination of knowledge, alongside community engagement, knowledge production, what you're talking about, is one of the three core purposes of a university. If you don't take that seriously, you're not a university, to be honest, right? And this knowledge production involves both the scholarship of discovery as well as the scholarship of application. So how do you see the relationship between basic fundamental research and research that seeks to improve the human condition immediately?
Nobody has ever won a Nobel Prize because you win it because you are curious about something, you are passionate about something. You know, blue sky research which NRF stopped, it's very unfortunate because it's very important to dream beyond always having applications. We are losing it by doing that. It's very important. I shouldn't talk because I benefited from NRF for 15 years. I think with the chair, I think my chair was the most expensive. When it ended, they were so happy it was over. But we should never stop fundamentally doing curiosity-driven research. Otherwise, we are finished as a human.
Right. And who can say what kinds of fundamental research may lead to what improvements in human condition? It may not happen tomorrow, but could happen in 10 years' time.
Okay, I should stop saying but when I won the Kwame Nkrumah Award, I had to address the president, what do we call them? President of the continent. How do they call themselves? And territories, countries and territories, or whatever. And I said to them, they don't like me very much. Actually, the French, they don't like me. I said, you are making your citizens refugees of risk because you don't plan ahead. What South Africa does, to be honest with you, is to plan ahead. We can complain all we want. I'm a beneficiary to that planning. You have to plan ahead. Research is not done in 2 years. It's not done in 10 years. You have to plan ahead. And you are making your citizens refugees. The French president walked out. They didn't like what I was saying, but I liked what I said.
So, Prof, an outstanding scholar observes that the more we know, the more we realize how little we know.
Yeah.
And this person emphasizes humility as a defining quality of good scholarship. Is humility an essential feature of scholarship? What do you think?
Being
Just
humble.
be humble and
Oh, everybody should be humble, but it's a difficult thing to do, you know. But being humble is very important. I had no choice but to be humble. I was in West London, Ontario, receiving an award. I arrived in the city. Almost every pole had my face on it with, guess what, sheep. I was surrounded by sheep to show that where I've come from. If you've been a shepherd like me, you have to be humble. You have no choice. You know what poverty is. You know what not having food is. You don't have a choice.
Right. So, Prof, one of the things I really admired about you when I was at Rhodes is that you were a leading researcher, often in the top 3 in South Africa. But you didn't have to be persuaded to undertake undergraduate teaching. That culture meant that as Rhodes, we had the best undergraduate pass rates in South Africa, and we had the best graduation rates in South Africa. 2 questions. Why is teaching important?
Teaching is important, but I want to start with something which is so false, it's not a joke, that if you are a good researcher, you cannot be a good teacher. And it's something that is said by people who don't want to do research, research is hard. And you have to apply for funding. You cannot rely on your institution unless you are Stellenbosch to give you money all the time. The saying that good researchers cannot make good teachers should not go away. It's not true. My teaching was made good by my research because I was on the cutting edge. When you are doing research, you are reading current information. You don't, in the olden days, before all this technology, we were teaching from the paper. The paper will be yellow after a few years. You are always on the corner. You know what is relevant today. So you are giving students something, not just from the textbook, but from knowledge. Teaching and research can go together very easily. Yes, I haven't taught now for a while, but I enjoyed teaching first year, because I felt I was a very good teacher. And I taught them first because I felt they need a mother to teach them when they come from different schools, different environments. I think I'm a kind person. I enjoyed teaching first year. But with NRF chair, I couldn't do teaching. I could have done honors or higher, I didn't. But then my student numbers began to increase so heavily that I couldn't really teach. Honors were boring, so I decided not to teach them.
So I think you've already explained my second question about how you see the relationship between teaching and research. But I also recall and will remind you that one of the reasons you gave to me is that if you were not there in the undergraduate classroom, how would you identify your future postgraduate students? You are selecting them already from that undergraduate classroom. And that's an important reason for researchers to be in undergraduate classrooms. Otherwise, you may not have talented postgraduate students. You should be modeling and inspiring them right from first year. So let's go on to some postgraduate supervision issues. Jonathan Johnson was speaking at an event last week, and he described the ideal supervisor as someone who models intellectual curiosity, is what you've mentioned, humility and rigor. So what are your thoughts on supervision?
Who supervises who in my group? They supervise themselves. Seriously, I create an environment for me, an environment where I gather funds, together with my colleagues now, to have the facilities that we have. We showed you some of them. I told Professor Badat that Rhodes cannot even afford me. I'm too expensive. I just create the environment. Then I let them swim or sink. It's their problem. I have many PhDs, they can swim or sink. They normally swim. I help them write. No one cares. I always tell this to my students. No one cares that you were at university, you have a PhD. Can you write? Can you talk? Can you talk to a lady selling vegetables, science, to a lady selling vegetables on the street? Can you talk to ministers? Sometimes they're useless, but never mind. Can you talk at all levels about science? You have to be able to talk, to write. Nobody cares that you did that kind of science in chemistry. It's your ability to give information out, your ability to be independent, your ability to show who you really are. My colleagues, Professor Mark is there. While I was still director, I encouraged them to teach so that we keep getting students into the center. Oh, that one won't be here. There's another one you met this afternoon. She won't be here. I don't even remember your question.
Okay, so I think you've clarified your approach, right? But I think you're being modest also about the sink and swim, right? She's being modest. Because by all accounts, you are an awesome and tremendously successful supervisor. So share, please, what makes you so awesome and successful as a supervisor?
And everywhere I go, everybody says she works hard. It's like hard work is a disease. Is it a disease? Can you catch it and can you give it to somebody else? I don't know. I think consistency is very important. And I'm not quite sure as a supervisor or as, I don't know, what am I? A supervisor, a mentor? Because I hardly go into the lab. Actually, I'm afraid to go into the lab because it might be dirty and these children are dirty sometimes. So I'm afraid to see that. But I supervise through, I don't know, they are writing retreats, which I don't understand, but I supervise them by reports. Constant reports, constant presentations, constantly saying who you are, what you can do. Constantly going to conferences and meeting the top people in your field. Constantly being part of the world. We cannot be isolated from the rest of the world. You have to stand up and be counted for.
So I think somewhere in this book you say you know them because you've read their stuff.
You saw
I know you.
Yeah, I've read many theses. And this Janice, Professor Limson didn't like the red pen. So he gave me a green pen for her thesis. Yeah, but you also have, a student cannot give you work to read, then you take 3 months. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's not fair on them. They must, if they give you something that they've worked hard to do, you must read it quickly as you can. I have no feet, by the way, those who don't know, but I still read. I like what Jane said in the 2024 research book. Yeah, you said, even with 2 broken ankles, she's still the top researcher. But you have to, this is people's lives. It's their future. You have, when they give you work, you must get it done, you must read it. Yeah.
So, Prof, it suggested that students must aim to surpass the supervisor.
Of course, yes.
And when
She
that
has
happens, the professor must
As
celebrate.
well. Yes.
Right? So, how do we create the conditions for that at Rhodes, at other places, so that they can surpass the supervisor?
The promotions must change. It should be based on research mainly before other things. Yeah. No, it must be based mainly on research, because universities are for research. And that would help. But it's too late. Some of them call themselves professors. I don't know what they are professing. But
Right. So here's the pitch.
don't listen to me. Many of the things Dr.
Right.
Mzila
So I
does.
think Prof is sharing something that's of concern to me and other people,
Yeah,
of
but
how easy it's becoming to become a professor
everybody wants to call
without
themselves
any
a
real
professor.
research and knowledge production.
No, it's too late. It's too late now. I just feel.
So what would it take for a student, one of your students there, to surpass you, Prof?
Oh, they're
So
going
that
to
you
surpass
can
me, surpass
celebrate.
me. They all surpass me. There's one at Wits, Kenneth. There's a student that came from Wits there. Kenneth, he's A-rated. He was here during the opening. My students are A-rated. They're all over the world. I don't know why they go to Australia, some of them. I wouldn't go to Australia, but some of them are in Australia. Some of them are in the UK. And we are, as Rhodes University, a center where the world comes to. We are having Poland now. We've had Germany. Students come here to start their careers, believe it or not. But we don't see it because we are so busy being negative about ourselves. So busy. But we are the center where the world comes to. For us, well, I should retire. I don't know what I'll do when I retire. Oh, Dr. Kwesi says no. But we must make sure that we continue with this excellence. We are excellent university, where leaders learn, go and be leaders. You all students, go and be leaders. Don't be pseudo leaders, be real leaders.
So, Prof, supervision is really a two-way process. What do you look for in students? What qualities are you looking for?
Students, is it working? Is this working? Your job is to, why you not
I should say, what do you look for them apart from the fact that they must have a passport and they must be able to drive? I know you put those conditions.
Oh,
too.
no, they must have a passport. I don't like people who don't have passports. Because how do they get out of here if you need to get out to conferences? It means you want to be local. I'm not interested in people who are just local. You've got to be international as much as possible. And I'm going to ignore those who don't have passports. I'm going to ignore them. They're not going anywhere. Driving, oh, forget about that. That does work. What was the question again?
So what are you looking for really?
No, students are not man-made. Okay, when students apply, I just look for undergraduate transcripts to see that they have enough chemistry and they have enough maths, because we are a little bit mathematical and chemistry. But apart from that, it's my job to promote them. It's my job. You can't say people come to me and say, give us your good students. I say, go and make students great. They don't get made. You have to make them. We make them great.
Prof, by all accounts, you are a very powerfully motivational and incredibly diligent supervisor. Your feedback to your students is prompt, even though you have large numbers of masters and PhDs. I mean, I think in some years you have more masters and PhDs than any other academic can hope for in their entire lifetime, right? And you just said that feedback to students is often not prompt. People wait for months to get feedback from supervisors. How do you manage that? What's your approach? Apart from very hard work.
Maybe I don't have a life.
Your students are your life.
No, don't say that to them. They'll get big heads. No, I just believe in just giving feedback. I don't know how I do it, but I don't procrastinate. What do you call that word? You just get things done. Just get things done. And I remember one member of council looked at me and she said, I don't want to be like you that you don't even watch TV. I watch TV. I was addicted to Survivor those days. Sometimes I watch 90 Day. I have a life. But I just get things done.
But you're also considered to be a very tough task person. Your students quote you as saying, you can sleep when you're dead. Otherwise, get on with the work.
I was joking. I might end up in jail for that. Oh, I did say so, but it was a joke. Those who want to see jokes, get that. You're not supposed to repeat that. Hey, yeah.
It's in the book, Prof.
It's in the book, I know.
So, Prof, increasingly around us, there's advocacy to move away from one-to-one supervision towards more cohort supervision. What's your own feelings about this?
About what?
That instead of one person supervising one person, you should have a team of 3 or 4 people supervising a group of people.
For a very, very long time now, I use senior students to supervise junior students. I use postdocs, which she pays for sometimes, to supervise students. No, senior students, it's part of training also, that senior students help junior students. That is how it happens. But then I have the critical mass for it. If you don't have that critical mass, it might be difficult. But honestly, students supervise each other. I don't know how they survive. One of them is now working at Mintech. He said, I don't know, I came here and you didn't even look at me. I said, go in and go and work.
So, Prof, it's increasingly being argued in South Africa, and I include myself in this, that the PhD thesis alone is insufficient to assess a student's ability to advance new knowledge. That apart from just focusing on the thesis, we must start to assess the PhD students themselves in a different way. What do you think of this argument?
It would be very interesting if we could afford it. I can understand that we cannot afford to have oral, what do we call this? Defense. What do they call it? I don't know what they call it in South Africa, but it's Viva. Some universities do it. Some universities don't. The cost may be too much, but I had to do it. I was in Canada, and I didn't know how to answer the first question in my Viva.
So you, some of the others here, we didn't pass on the basis of the thesis. We had to have Vivas, and only after the Viva we were told, congratulations, you are being awarded the doctorate. Right? And there's a context in which this concern is coming up. So let me just share quickly. At the moment, there's an expert committee that has just been established by the National Advisory Council on Innovation to investigate and report to the minister, to quote the terms of reference, on the outsourcing of master's and PhD theses at South African universities. I see some people nodding their heads on what apparently is called contract cheating. Now, the only way we're going to be able to put an end to that kind of stuff, go onto the websites and you will find companies and individuals who will write your thesis for you, your master's and your PhD, at a price, of course. Now, if you want to combat that, then increasingly the thesis is not going to be enough. because ChatGPT is going to write the thesis. Or some retired professor somewhere is making a lot of money writing those theses. So whether we may like it or not, I think the day will arrive soon where we're going to have to assess the student in a viva and make sure that he or she knows what's written on page 48. Right. So that's the new terrain that we are having to come to grips with. And I saw a lot of you nodding, but this is an investigation that's going to start soon with advice to the minister about how to combat this. Prof, let's speak about some awards and prizes. One of my most memorable moments was being with you in March 2009 in Paris when you received the UNESCO L'Oreal Award. I remember this event like it was yesterday. The winners from the other regions were from prestigious, well-endowed universities. McGill for North America, Cambridge for Europe, Tokyo for Asia, Sao Paulo for Latin America. By the way, at that point in time, Sao Paulo produced more PhDs, one university, than the whole of South Africa. And from Asia and the Arab states, it was Professor Nyokong from Rhodes University. And I must share, by dint of Prof's humble beginnings, her character and achievements, the way she spoke that night, she won the hearts of the entire sophisticated audience in Paris. You emphasize all the time, Prof, that your prizes and your awards are for your students. But more generally, what do you think prizes and awards and so on do in someone's academic life? Why are they important?
Before I even go there, and then you know what will happen, I'll forget your question. But thank you for coming, and Professor Mavizela was, when I received the award at Imperial College, that was also very, very nice of you to come. I couldn't walk, and Professor Mashazi was holding me, oh gosh, yeah, all the way. Let me tell you, the importance for me is not the money. The money I've put aside, I've started a bursary to help other students with that money, and the money is not important for me. What was important with L'Oreal, apart from the speech where I said we should concentrate on poverty, we should concentrate on higher level, what was important for me was, I think I addressed over 100 journalists from all over Europe. So I say, Europe, Africa has car. Yeah.
I think I want to re-emphasize that. McGill, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Cambridge, with all their wealth and all their facilities, and Little Rhodes University amongst those people, with 1/10 of the resources they had, and yet the recognition for Prof, for the quality of her contributions and the students she was graduating.
All the other questions should go to Professor Stasi. He's writing my book about my shepherd days.
So I want to now go on to the Sachi Chair, Prof. During my 8 years at Rhodes, between 2006 and 2014, there were 3 especially fulfilling moments for me personally and as a Vice Chancellor. The first was to get that letter saying that you were going to become the first recipient of the NRF DST Sachi Chair, the first for Rhodes University. And that was an exciting frontier. What did the Sachi Chair mean for you, Prof? What has it facilitated?
Freedom. Sachi Chair gives you freedom. And by the time it ended, I was the most expensive person in South Africa. Yeah. It gave freedom. You knew for as long as you produce, for 15 years, you are funded. This is where South Africa is good. When they make a promise, they make a promise. I've had a promise from Professor Mark will know from Kenya. We had a collaboration there. The money never came from Kenya. We had a promise from Romania. Money never. NRF promised, but I don't know where we are heading with NRF. I really need to talk to them. NRF, when they promised, and DSI, they promised. But then the chair money was ring-fenced. It came from DSI. And so they couldn't really touch it, per se. It really gave me freedom. And those days, I don't know, these days they seem to want to tell you which students to appoint. We could appoint our own students. We had a lot more freedom. It gave me freedom to do what. Most of the equipment you saw, no, but I'm also a hustler, hacker. What?
Hustler.
Because most of the equipment you saw, I mean, one of them is 40 million rands. I've never seen that many zeros in my life when the money came. Some of them are 20 million rands, you know. So NRF had policies to help us to survive. It was for nanotechnology. But the chair money also helped me buy the other smaller items. They allowed $500,000 rands for equipment, but I always negotiated with them. I could get 1, 2 million into equipment. That's how I managed to accumulate that equipment. Yes, I agree. Research office helped with the tough sims. The 40 million one, you did put in something there. You don't know it yet. And Naledi Pando kept every single minister who has been a minister of science and technology in this country has visited us, except just for one. What is wrong with him?
So I want to go into the title of distinguished professor now. That was my second fulfilling moment, Prof, when you were voted the first distinguished professor of the university by your peers in the university senate, and a trolley had to be rolled in with all your publications on it, just to convince any doubtful senators why you were deserving. Professor Malem in the audience there was amongst the first distinguished professors too. The distinguished professor idea was born when I was on sabbatical at Berkeley in 2012, and it was welcomed by the Senate and Council. It was intended to motivate the pursuit of excellence. It was meant to be aspirational. And it was a really poignant moment for me, because it really exemplified for me that despite our harsh legacy in this country, what individuals could achieve through ensuring substantive equity of access and opportunity, and what our universities and countries stood to reap if we provided that support and opportunities to people. So my question is, do you think we are creating sufficient opportunities today for people to thrive, to become distinguished professors 30, 40 years down the line?
We are not pushing people enough. We are too soft. We are too soft. Opportunities are there, to be honest with you, but they need you to apply. This business of saying, identify a few people and give them money. Don't give them money, let them go and find money. Then add more to them. We are not pushing people hard enough to excel in what they should do. I don't want to go there.
So, what barriers do you think we still have to break down in this country? What conditions must we still create to ensure that talented people, whatever of color, but especially given our legacy, black women, rural postgraduate students, can succeed?
Most of my students are rural, and I love it. Because when you train rural people, you're actually training a whole village. You are putting an example somewhere, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And it's very important to keep doing that as much as possible. People should not be helped too much. They must help themselves first, then you can help. The major problem is we are too soft. We are too soft.
So with this distinguished professor award went reserve parking.
And don't dare park there.
Yeah.
Where's Gail? Gail?
You see, at that time, only the vice chancellors and the deputy vice chancellors had reserved parking. We were very democratic at Rhodes. But with the distinguished professorship went a reserve parking and a purple and white board with your name on it. Right? And what was wonderful to see, I don't know if it's still happening now, that students would gather behind that purple and white, and take photos. And on more than one occasion, I would go past there and the students would say, that's me one of these days.
Yes, yes, they
And
do.
I said, inshallah, maybe in 25 years, we're going to get there, right? It became aspirational in a different way, in a way that we didn't even think it could become aspirational. Okay. And so that was really uplifting to see how that worked out. So my third really fulfilling moment in relation to Prof, and there are others that I could mention. And in this sense, I think we can be proud as a university that we were far-sighted, is when the University Council agreed to the Vice-Chancellor's Office proposition that we provide special contracts to certain academics to continue at Rhodes beyond the mandatory retirement age of 65.
I'm less than 60.
I know you were. And Prof was on the top of a very select, short list. I remember walking with a spring in my step to your office on the 10th of March 2014, several years before you would have had to retire, and presenting you with an envelope with a letter signed by me. And the letter read, Dear Professor Nyokong, your scholarship, your research output, your huge intellectual reputation and value as a role model make it eminently desirable for us as Rhodes University to retain you as a distinguished professor of the university beyond the age of 65. We are committed to ensuring this for as long as you desire to continue in your position. Rest assured that we wish very much to retain you at Rhodes University for as long as we can.
Don't tell her that. She doesn't want me to go.
Well, I also indicated to you then that we had cleared with the NRF that you would not be required to give up the Sachi chair at any imposed retirement date, and that we as a university would accommodate any of those requirements. I must say that if I had a spring in my step walking to your office, it was a very nervous spring. After I left your office, it was a joyous and unbridled spring, because I received the answer I was hoping for. A full 12 years later, you are still here. What has continuing as a distinguished professor well beyond retirement age meant for you academically? Has it been the right decision?
It has been the right decision. I have nothing else to do. I don't know what else to do. But I enjoy the students. And universities recruit me. Who gets recruited at this age? This was trying to recruit me. Stellenbosch was trying to recruit me.
We were very aware of that.
And
Not
UNISA.
only them.
So I said to UNISA, so you are going to put me in a cage, and I just shake my hand like that. What am I going to do at this age to you? But I'm still being recruited at this age. But what I tell people from this, I said, the time you take to drive from your house to work, I've written a paper while you are driving. So I live in a place where potholes, but I can get work done.
Right. This has always been an incredible environment if you are a serious scholar to get work done. I should explain the nervous spring in my step, because even though she wasn't the direct cause, Prof did give me sleepless nights.
I did.
No, not because you called me at midnight and so that, for other reasons. I was so aware that universities near and far,
Yeah, they were.
with big fat checkbooks, were seeking to lure Prof to their shores, local and international, especially that one under the mountain
I will never
that
go
liked to poach outstanding academics from Rhodes all the time, even though it talked ad nauseum about growing our own timber. They would come here to steal the academics. So, in a way, it was also telling them, get lost. Prof can stay here as long as she wants.
Just not to interrupt, I think Professor Mabizala told this back off.
We had to fight people off to say, don't come and poach here. But deep down, I had no doubts about Prof's loyalty to Rhodes. And also because as a university, as a vice chancellor's office with the DVCs and so on, I think we had a pretty good idea at what we had to do proactively to keep Prof here. And one thing we knew, it was not about more money. Because Prof could have gone anywhere else, to Lund, Sweden wanted you, right? And we can't compete with UCT and WITS and those places. They have fat checkbooks, right? It was also not about status. It wasn't about the distinguished professor, right? So Prof, ultimately, what is it that keeps an outstanding scholar like yourself, who could be at any leading university in the world, at a particular university? In this case, it's just Rhodes. What keeps you?
I want to say something about the people I'm passionate about called students. I don't talk to them much. I ignore them. Professor Mashadi says I should attend seminars. The seminars, I just go there to joke. I don't really do much. But we were in Mexico with some students. And it was a conference organized by Americans. They were trying to run away from winter. They were going to Cancun. Is it Cancun? How is it called? And they tried to poach some of my students, not in front of me, but the students came back and told me, they're trying to poach us. We asked them, what do you have that we don't have at Rhodes? We have better facilities at Rhodes. It happened again, because all my students have to spend time. I don't have money now. I'm sure the DVC is listening. Must spend 3 months in other universities. And I sent one to France, to Paris, and they started recruiting her teacher, come and work with us. What do you have that Rhodes does not have, that South Africa does not have? This is who we are. We spend so much time being negative. We don't realize exactly. We don't take time to realize what we actually have here. What was your question?
That was the question.
Okay.
So I'm going to end up with one final question and then open it up to the floor. There might be people who would like to ask questions. So, Prof, and I'm going to phrase this very politely. There are some people in this country that seem to think there are too many foreigners at our universities, teaching at our universities, doing research at our universities. Seems to me that they would like our universities to be filled with only South Africans. What would you say to them? What would we lose as a university, as a country, if we have that kind of attitude?
We cannot have that kind of attitude. One of our staff members in the INI, I don't know whether he comes from Scotland or Canada, but he is here. We need that diversity. We need those fresh ideas. We need our students to see other people. Let me tell you about a few things that apartheid unfortunately did for us. I took 5 students to Australia, and 3 of them were white students, and they looked at me and said, but white people are mowing lawns here. Should not be allowed. So they are not supposed to do their work in their own country. Then one of my students who was black went to the UK, and the person who came to clean was a white. She ran. So she ran away, saying, a white person is now cleaning for me. So those ideas, we have not really removed them, but we need people from all over the world to come and enrich us. We are an international university. Well, we call ourselves what? A government university. What are we? I don't understand a lot of things in life. Public university, we say. I don't think we are public, but anyway. But we need, but at the moment, to be honest with you, Home Affairs is out of control. We are frustrated, and they send mixed messages. Where is Ola? They send mixed messages. There's a student of mine now who was told, go back to Ethiopia. You can only apply from Ethiopia. Then after she's applied, now they have a concession. I mean, she cannot come back into the country now. And another time when we went to Spain, there was a postdoc from India. We got to, what country was that? Dubai, whatever. She was told, you go to India. You are not going back to South Africa. Home Affairs in South Africa. It's inhuman. it is inhuman. So even if we want people here, the government, the way it's operating is inhuman. It's really inhuman. I feel sorry for your job.
I think we would all share with you that this university has always had one of the highest proportion of international students. And it's created an incredible intellectual environment. Imagine being cut off from students from other parts of Africa and other parts of the world. And we depend on that collaboration. How can you advance knowledge without collaborating with other people?
Oh no, we collaborate. We are all over the world. I'm in touch with Saudi Arabia. Are they fighting or what are they doing? Saudi Arabia and Kuwait now, they want to send their students here. I'll be talking to you about it. Then they'll give us millions, those people. Give us millions.
And then Ola can put on 2 more flags in the student center. So let me open it up for questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Badat, Prof. Nyokong, for a really enriching discussion. You know, when I pitched the idea to have this session to Prof. Nyokong, promised her that there'd be no questions from the audience. But I think we can take 1 or 2 if she allows.
Okay, please tell us about your research. What knowledge have you gained?
Students, Vuyokazi, tell them about your research. Vuyokazi, you can hide all you want. She just come from the UK, wasted my money because the UK had new rules that you must fill some form. Oh, for heaven's sake. Vuyokazi to tell you what she does. I hope you'll cure cancer one day.
Okay, so we basically synthesize these drugs that we call them photosynthesizers. They get activated by light to kill cancer cells and bacterial cells. We also do biosensing, where we aim to create devices that will be able to detect cancer one day. We also do water treatment. Solar cells. We're aiming to create a device that will provide electricity for us without using coal, yeah.
I just want to add to the well done, Vuyokazi, don't be shy, come on. I want to add to, I love the Defense Force. I used to work with them because people shine lasers as you try to land the plane, to blind the pilot. You see it in the soccer stadium, do they try to blind people there? So the army came to us to develop devices to either put on the cockpit or on the glasses of the pilots. And they really, they were so dignified. I like the way they dress. They were so dignified. They funded many of my students. So that project really is ready for development.
Sorry, I cannot sit down, and when I have to ask a question, I have to say I don't even know where to begin. But Prof, I'm that girl that waited 4 months to meet you.
I know.
The reason why I had to meet her, was because I had read so much about her. I have read so much about her. So when I joined Rhodes last year, the first thing that I wanted to do was to meet her, and it took me 4 months. And I'm grateful that you gave. I had occasion to meet up with you. Very humble and very relatable. Prof, do you think Africa is doing as much research, in your own opinion? Are we doing as much research as we should be? And I'm not in any way being negative. 2, what do you think about the role of women researchers in Africa? Thank you, Prof.
You asked me 2 questions when I don't even remember one. Egypt and South Africa are ahead. South Africa is actually playing a role model because I've been talking about the role model that South Africa has of rating researchers. And NRF doesn't just rate South Africans, it rates researchers all over the world. Of rating research, this is the only sane thing remaining on research. Can you please get them all rated? But I think the thing is, like I said, there has to be a long-term commitment. And this is what the presidents of countries and territories, what does territory mean? I address them about that. There has to be a long-term commitment. I'm worried, you are very influential, Dr. Kwesi is influential. We should not stop this commitment. It takes a long time to achieve what I've achieved. And they try. Nigeria tried, for example, but then they'll fund it for 3 years. It takes longer than that. It's just policies that are long-term. Whether there is a storm or rain or whatever, that stays. And this is what South Africa has done. Women, you know, it's so hard for me to talk about women without talking about color because I'm both. I don't know which comes first. In the biological sciences, I think women have progressed a lot more. Don't you think so? This one is very smart. He went from chemistry to biological science. Who does that? I think the women have progressed more. I'm not sure about maths and physics. I'm not sure. I think chemistry is not doing too badly in terms of students, female students. We are not doing too badly, I think. Maybe the other subjects. I think we are not doing too badly at all. Mm.
So just to answer your question in a different way, that this institution has sincerely believed that the research that is being done around cancer and so on, that if there is going to be a Nobel Prize in Africa, it may be for this one day. But that doesn't happen like this. And this is a sincere belief. It's not just grand talk.
People always ask me, particularly my students, are you from Lesotho? Are you from South Africa? My answer is I'm African.
I think with that, I think we can comfortably bring this to a close. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof. It has been an absolutely incredible and I think quite a learning experience for everybody here. And I think that your words will resonate with many people for a long time. Thank you. I have a small gift for Professor Badat to thank him for agreeing to come. I was so glad when you said yes. I was a little nervous asking, but thank you very much, Professor Badat. Thank you very much. A small gift from all of us. Thanks. And Prof, your students have not left you behind. It's a small gift from them. Yes.
I disappeared and went to Cape Town because I was not well. I think they thought I was dead. When I came back, there were so many presents. I can't get up. Professor Masha's help. I can't get up. I can't get up easily anymore. When I got A-rated from the NRF, Peter Clayton gave me 12 bottles of champagne. That's what present you should give me.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Just
Some of you know that the way to keep Prof Nyokong happy sometimes.
definitely prawns.
Prawns. Prawns. Oh, I love prawns. He used to give me prawns. I can't
This
get
is a
up.
true
I have
story.
no feet.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. The book is available for sale outside, and there is a speed point. Thank
It's
you all
not-
again.
But we need to make very clear that the sale is to the bazaar. It's not for us.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to I should actually acknowledge the RU120 fund, who provided the funding for printing the book, and all proceeds from the sale of the book goes to the Tebello Nyokong scholarship fund that Professor Nyokong established. And I want to just say, all of that money that Prof would win from awards, it all went into that scholarship fund. So it is quite a substantial amount, and anything extra that you want to give to the at the speed point would go right into that fund. So thank you all again very much. Thank you.
ask the question? Do you introvert?
Okay, I think my sense of question is currently we talk about science.
Nyokong.
Lower science was a science project, yeah. What's PhD?
What's your message to Prof Nukong? Pointing what? What's your message to Prof Nukong?
Or maybe you can share like
Hi,
how
Fabika.
Prof has been
Yeah, it
as
makes
your
sense because it
oh,
was
yeah,
the launch of the book.
The supervisor
students.
yethu.
Oh, I guess
You talk about what you've learned from
since you've been with her for a
just
while.
I
Yeah,
think
but-
20 seconds.
A message to Prof. Okay. Can you start? Okay. I'm a PhD student. I'm a PhD student supervised by Professor Nyokong. Today was great. Having Prof Nyokong sharing her experience, which she always share with us. I mean, closer. Okay. Having Prof Nyokong sharing today, I mean, was amazing for being an inspiration to us. So she always encouraged us as young women that everything is possible. Like, for example, I come from rural areas and I am a woman, so she's always teaching us that everything is possible. And when I came to the institute, I was soft, and she was always saying that, every time she would talk to me, she would be like, well, now you are so soft, And I could see, I mean, even when we are interacting, she is always emphasizing that, yay, you are tough, you can do this, you need to stand up for yourself. And she's building great leaders, including myself, yes.
I'm a master's student at the Tebello Nyokong Institute for Nanoscience, and one of the greatest things I've realized today about Prof is how she's been able to achieve as much as she has despite the challenges, and I am very in awe of how she's been able to do all of that. And we always interact with Prof in the corridors and whatnot. And sometimes when you take a moment to sit down and actually understand the things she went through and how privileged we are that we get to be in these spaces because of the work she did, and we are forever grateful for her work. Yes. Are we done?
I personally am a foreign student from Lesotho. So it's very inspiring for me to see someone from it's very inspiring for me to see someone from Lesotho or someone who has been in Lesotho who's done these amazing things. Prof takes care of all her students and she always teaches us to just be strong and believe in our work, and she knows that we're going to achieve great things and we're forever grateful for her. That's it.
For me, the event was very nice. I learned a lot. Working with her, it's very nice. She's a nice supervisor. She treats us all the same. She's very lovely, honestly. And yeah, I've learned a lot today and it was really, really, really nice. Yeah.
For me today, I learned so much, and the highlight for today's session was that we shouldn't be negative. You should believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. Thank you.
Michael, okay. Oh.
Okay, today's launch was very informative with Professor Nyokong and also Dr. Badat. And what I've learned from the things that she was saying was the importance of involving students in the work that you do and also allowing them to be, so that the work that they do can have their characteristics and what they bring to also enshrine in the work that they do.